Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of gastrointestinal agent. I am Mrs. Sandhya Lanke, faculty of Shri Jain Vidya Prasarak Mandal, Rasikla Limdhariwal College of Pharmacy, Chinswad, Pune. Here welcome you all in the second part of gastrointestinal agents from Pharmaceutical Chemistry 1. In first part, we have discussed about the introduction to gastrointestinal agent. So, let us discuss the learning outcomes of after watching this video. After watching this video, you will be able to define acidifying agents and antacids. You will be able to explain role of acidifying agents and antacids in gastrointestinal disturbances. You will be able to classify antacids. You will be able to list ideal properties of antacids and you will be able to discuss rationale behind combination antacid therapy. So, my dear friends, you will learn all these outcomes after watching this video. Before that, let us just revise the gastrointestinal disturbances on which we are discussing today. The first one is achlorhydria. So in first video we have discussed the details. Achlorhydria, if due to some reasons there is no secretion or decreased secretion of hydrochloric acid in gastric secretion or juices, the condition is called as achlorhydria or hypochlorhydria. And so as to treat this achlorhydria, today we will discuss about the acidifying agents. The second gastrointestinal disturbance that takes place is nothing but the hyperchlorhydria or hyperacidity. Now what is this? Hyperacidity, whenever excess secretion of acid takes place in the stomach, this causes the imbalance in acid enzyme ratio and it leads to hyperacidity or hyperchlorhydria. And for treatment of this hyperchlorhydria or hyperacidity, today we will discuss about the agents called as antacids. So friends, let us discuss first about the acidifying agents. Now what these acidifying agents are? Let us discuss the definition of acidifying agents. The agents which are used to treat achlorhydria or hypochlorhydria are called as acidifying agents. These are the products which are used for altering gastric pH. So they are called as gastric acidifying. Friends, in achlorhydria there is absence of hydrochloric acid and because of that we need to alter the gastric pH. We have to make the pH acidic and for that we are using some agents. That's why these agents are called as gastric acidifier. The example is dilute hydrochloric acid. Now let us discuss the actual mechanism that is involved in acidifying agents. So acidifying agents, the mechanism of action is by two ways. The substances increases acidity in the stomach by two different mechanisms. Either they increases acidic concentration because of its acidic character or acidic nature, and secondly they may stimulate the secretory cells in gastrointestinal tract. So in short, this is the mechanism of action. Now further we will discuss the actual monograph of the acidifying agent. Only one compound is there, that is hydrochloric acid with the molecular formula HCl. Then we'll discuss the physical properties. As we all know, this hydrochloric acid, it occurs as a colorless fuming liquid with pungent odor. It is miscible with water and alcohol. It is a strong acid and that's why it may attack metals with evolution of hydrogen gas. Now, then after we'll discuss the usage and storage. The hydrochloric acid, as such it is not used as medicine, but The dilute hydrochloric acid is used as acidifying agent, obviously in treatment of a chlorhydria, and it is also used as one of the laboratory reagents so as to carry out various chemical processes. The storage is, it should be stored in well closed inert containers, that too glass containers below 30 degrees Celsius. In short, question may be asked in board exam, name the drug which is used in treatment of a chlorhydria and give its properties and uses. Or question can be asked, define acidifying agents and give properties and uses of the same. So hydrochloric acid with the synonym muriatic acid, it is one drug which is used in the treatment of a chlorhydria. So this is all about acidifying agent. Now next we will discuss about the antacids. Now what antacids are? Let us discuss the definition of antacid. Antacids are the agents which are used to treat hyperchlorhydria, that is hyperacidity. The agents are called as antacids. How these antacids are going to be act? These antacids are the substances which are weak bases and which after administration react with the gastric acid. There it causes the neutralization of excess hydrochloric acid and lowers the acidity of gastric content. See friends, the antacid, they are just going to neutralize the excess secretion of hydrochloric acid. They not at all going to inhibit or alter the secretion of hydrochloric acid. Whatever hydrochloric acid is going to be secreted, that will just get neutralized by the antacid substances. The examples of antacids are sodium bicarbonate, aluminum hydroxide and calcium carbonate. After this, let us discuss the classification of antacids. These antacids, they are mainly classified into two different classes. The first one is systemic or absorbable type of antacids. Now what these systemic or absorbable type of antacids are? As name indicate, these are the antacids which are getting absorbed after their administration. The only example of these antacids is sodium bicarbonate. Now, apart from some advantages, these systemic antacids have some of the disadvantages also. So, let us discuss the systemic or absorbable type of antacid. They have property that they may alter the electrolyte balance, and because of that there is retention of the sodium ions. Because of the retention of sodium ions, there is some effects are observed, and the electrolyte as well as acid base balance is getting disturbed. So this is the side effect, or we can say the major disadvantage of this systemic type of antacids. The second type of antacids are non-systemic antacids. These non-systemic type of antacids are also called by the name non-absorbable type of antacids. So the examples, it includes variety of types in it. The first one are aluminum containing antacids. Example is aluminum hydroxide or aluminum phosphate. Then the calcium containing antacids, example calcium carbonate or calcium hydroxide. Then magnesium containing antacids, example magnesium carbonate and magnesium trisilicate. Next is the combination antacid preparations, example combination of aluminum hydroxide gel and calcium carbonate. So these are nothing but the examples of non-systemic or non-absorbable type of antacid. As name indicate, they are not getting absorbed into the systemic circulation. So this is about classification. Now After this, we will discuss about the ideal properties of antacid agents. Every substance or every agent should bear some of the properties. So, like here, antacid should not be absorbable or it should not cause systemic alkalosis. Whatever the antacid substances are there, they should not get absorbed, because if they will get absorbed, they will not show any effect for longer duration of time, and that's why they should not be absorbable, as well as they should not cause systemic alkalosis, because of systemic alkalosis different type of side effects may observed. Then the second property is antacid should not liberate carbon dioxide and cause rebound hyperacidity. Now, what is the effect of antacid? Why we are using antacid? Just to neutralize excess secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. That's why your antacid should, because of neutralization reaction, it should not liberate carbon dioxide, because acid and base reacts to form salt water along with evolution of carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide may cause discomfort or disturbances, or we can say flatulence, that may cause pain in the stomach. So the antacid should not liberate carbon dioxide, that may cause rebound hyperacidity. Then next property is antacid should not interfere with absorption of food. By any way, there should not be any effect of antacid on the absorption of food. Antacid should not cause dysentery, diarrhea or constipation. As it should not absorb the mechanism of food, it should not cause dysentery or diarrhea or constipation like side effects. Then moving to the further ideal properties, antacid should possibly inhibit enzyme pepsin, because this enzyme pepsin plays an important role in formation of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. That's why it should possibly inhibit the enzyme pepsin. Then antacid should be quick acting and exerts its effect over long period of time. In very small concentration, it should produce rapid effect, and that effect should be for longer period of time. That antacid should be inexpensive and palatable. Then it should be readily available, and it should not show any toxic effects. So these are some of the ideal properties of antacid agent. Now let us discuss the rationale behind combination of antacid preparation. So many times the frequently asked question in board exams for more than 3 marks give importance of combination antacid preparation, or what is the rationale behind combination of antacid preparation. So let us discuss the actual importance of this combination of antacid preparation. As we all know, no single antacid satisfies all the requirements of ideal antacid. Hence, many marketed antacid preparation contain more than one drug. Then we have discussed so many non-absorbable type of antacid preparation, in that some of the antacid they causes constipating effect, and some of the antacid they causes laxative effect. So as to balance the constipating effect of aluminum and calcium containing antacids with the laxative effect of magnesium antacid, the antacid preparations are given in combination. For example, aluminum hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide, they are given in combination. Aluminum hydroxide gel and magnesium trisilicate, they are also given in combination to balance the constipating as well as laxative effect. Then moving ahead, there are some other reasons also. The antacid preparation, some antacid produces rapid onset of action, for example calcium carbonate, and some antacid induces slow action, but they are giving it for prolonged period of time, for example aluminum hydroxide. And so as to get rapid and longer duration of action, as we discuss in ideal properties, the antacids are given in combination. Then Some antiflatulent and defoaming agents are also combined with antacid. Now why this is so? Just to avoid discomfort caused due to formation of carbon dioxide gas in stomach because of neutralization effect of antacids. As we know, what is the major reason of using antacid? Because they causes neutralization of increased secretion of hydrochloric acid, and during neutralization there are chances of formation of CO2 gas. This CO2 may causes formation of bubbles in the stomach that may leads to gastric disturbances. And what this antiflatulent or defoaming agent will do? D means removal of foam. So whatever bubbles are going to be formed, those will get removed or prevented by this antiflatulent or defoaming agent. Whatever gas is going to be formed, that will get prevented by this use of antiflatulent and defoaming agent. That's why some antiflatulent and defoaming agents are added along with the antacid. For example, simethicone, dimethicone and some reflux suppressants like alginic acid are used along with the antacid preparation. In the next slide, let us discuss some of the combination of antacid preparation. So here in this table you will find the different combination antacid preparation. Again, it is exam point of view, this is important. You can see here so many preparations are given in combination so as to counteract or so as to balance their side effects. For example, aluminum hydroxide gel and magnesium hydroxide combination, it is available in two form, either in the suspension or in the tablet form. Alumina and magnesium oral suspension and alumina and magnesia tablet. Then the second, alginic acid and sodium bicarbonate combination. Then magalrate, this is a chemical combination of magnesium hydroxide along with aluminum hydroxide. Then is calcium carbonate containing antacid mixture. Example, calcium carbonate along with aluminum hydroxide gel. Simethicone containing antacids. Now here simethicone is an activated dimethicone or activated polymethyl siloxane. This simethicone has an anti-foaming activity, so it can be combined with some of the antacids. Then aluminum hydroxide gel and kaolin combination. Why this is used? Because kaolin is having absorbent property, so it can be combined with aluminum hydroxide gel. So there are some purposes behind using this antacid preparation in combination. Hopefully you have understood all the concepts regarding acidifying agents and antacids. So thank you very much for watching this video.